Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and I picked up a GoPro Hero 9 the other day. These have been out for a while, but the price recently came down, undoubtedly because there's probably a Hero 10 on the horizon. And I was disappointed when I started playing with the camera because there was no way to get HDMI video out of it. But you can do that if you buy, of course, another accessory, which is what we're going to review today. This is the Media Mod for the GoPro Hero 9. And it adds a lot of functionality that's missing on the camera. So why not create an accessory to get more money out of everybody? So we're going to be taking a look at what this thing can do, some of its limitations, and my overall impressions of it in just a second. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for the camera and the Media Mod with my own funds. All of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this review, nor has anyone reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what this Media Mod is all about. Now, the price point on the Media Mod here is $79, but it does add a lot of functionality. So let's take a look now at the hardware. The first thing I had to figure out was how to get the camera into the Media Mod, and the instructions were not very clear about how to get that installation done. So what you have to do is open up the battery door on your GoPro camera, because its USB-C port here has to link up with the USB-C port inside of the mod. You can leave your battery in or you can take it out. We found that it worked with the battery removed, and of course it worked also with the battery inserted. The choice is yours on that one. Now what you have to do is remove the battery door on your GoPro camera, and when you do this, your camera is no longer waterproof, so you cannot submerge the camera when it's inside of this. It's probably going to be okay out in the rain or something where you're just getting splashed on, but submersion is off limits every time the camera is in the Media Mod, so just keep that in mind. Now, to take the door off, you actually have to move it past where it typically stops, and it feels really weird doing it, but it will snap off, and it doesn't break when you do that. And my advice is to find a safe place for the battery door, because your camera can't go back underwater until you put the battery door back on it. So find a really safe place for this and don't lose it. Now, we are going to slide the camera in, and what's going to happen here is that the USB connector is going to align with the USB port on the camera. So you snap it into place here and then close the door around it. And now your camera has been media modded. And let's take a look at some of what you get on here. Now, what I like about it is that you do get quite a bit. So the first thing you have are two cold shoe mounts. So you can put a light on it, for example. If you have microphones that can mount on a cold shoe, you can get your microphone receivers connected there. And then your GoPro's clip here at the bottom for mounting is still accessible, so you can still put it on a tripod in addition to having those two cold shoes available, which I thought was really cool. Now, you also get a microphone on board, and right now I've got its windscreen on, but you can take that off if you don't need it. The microphone is not very good. It picks up from the front and the back, but you can't isolate the audio out of either side, so it's really noisy, and in fact, the built-in microphone on the GoPro sounds better. Here's a little test I did out in the yard a little bit earlier. Okay, here is the built-in microphone from the GoPro. My microphone is not wet right now, so this is the standard sound you can expect from it. Let's hook the Media Mod up now and see how it sounds. All right, here is the Media Mod's mic. I do have the windscreen attached to it because it is a little bit windy out here. So this is what it sounds like. Let me pull off the windscreen. And now this is what it sounds like without that windscreen on. And there did not appear to be any audio settings that I could find to adjust how this external microphone works or to just turn it off. So inside of your settings, when you have the mod attached, you will have a Media Mod section. And you can see here the standard mic is lit up, but I can't do anything here to the setting. Now, there is a microphone input here on the Media Mod, which is a great feature. And I can take any 3.5mm microphone adapter and plug it in to the port and be able to use any mic that I want to use. And when you do make that connection, you start getting some audio settings here. So for example, I can have a standard microphone. If I'm finding the microphone is coming in a little too low, you can go to Mic Plus, which will give it a 20 dB boost in volume. You also have options for powered mics and line in, but not a lot of granular control over audio levels. So if you have a system like I do, like the Sennheiser AVX system, you can adjust the microphone output on the receiver. that might be something you'll have to do. You do get an audio level when you're shooting. Let me go back out to the main screen here so you can see that. So you will be able to see the audio levels coming into the camera, but there's no headphone jack to monitor it. But you can see the audio there popping now from the onboard mic. Now, if you have a microphone designed for smartphones, you'll probably need an adapter, because this port is a TRRS adapter, which is what you typically see in the video world. And my Sennheiser kit, for example, came with an XLR to a TRRS 3.5mm microphone jack. And smartphones typically use TRRS. So when I'm trying to use the Sennheiser kit with my smartphone, I have to use this little adapter cable to make that connection. So you will need a TRRS to TRS adapter if you've got a microphone that's designed for smartphones. Let's take a look at some of the other features of the Media Mod now. Now, the next port here is a USB Type-C port, and you can use this to power the camera either from an AC adapter or from a bigger battery. And you can also use this port to transfer data out of the camera. And then up here, you've got an HDMI output. This is one of those micro HDMI outputs, so you will need to get a proper cable or adapter to interface it with your monitor or with your computer. One thing to note is that when you have the HDMI connected, the internal display shuts off, and you cannot record and output HDMI at the same time. And the other limitation is that it will only output 1080p max out of that HDMI port at 60 frames per second. So even if you have the camera at 4K, you don't get 4K out of this HDMI, just 1080p 60. Let's plug it in though and see how you can use the camera when it's connected to your video system. All right, so I've got an HDMI cable here connected to the HDMI output. This is a standard micro HDMI to full-size HDMI cable. These are not hard to find, very inexpensive, and it works just fine. I also have power going into the camera over the USB-C port just because I found it does drain the battery quite quickly to have it outputting HDMI video. Now we're going to pull up my 2-up screen here so you can see what the camera is currently outputting. Now you'll note that the onboard display is blank, but I can use it as a touch surface to go through the different controls here. But you can also use the buttons on the camera to control things. So for example, if I hit the side button, you'll see that that is changing the cursor position for the arrows here. So I can go forward, and I can go backward, and then I can hit this center button here to play back a video clip from the camera. And then if I want to go back to my grid list here, I can just select the grid and bring me back here. Now if you want to have the camera output video, you go over to this button on the far right, and when you push the top button here, you will have your video output. Now you'll notice that this is not a clean feed out of the gate. We've got the battery indicator and my SD card indicator there. So if we pull up the bottom portion here and just tap our button to the eyeball icon there, that will give you a clean HDMI out. Now the video looks a little bit weird because of the interaction with my LED lights, but it does output a pretty good image when you've got good light, so I haven't seen any real issues with it. I also found that there's not much latency to it either. Here's a little clip I shot a few minutes ago. And this is a test of the HDMI latency out of the camera. My microphone is going into my video system through a different HDMI source right now, and as you can see, the lip sync here is pretty good, so I don't see any real issues with latency over the HDMI. Now, I also thought I would give you some better looking footage here out of the HDMI, so here's an example from my backyard a few minutes ago. It looks good, but it's only 1080p. You can't get 4K out of here, even though you can record at 4K. And speaking of recording, if I go ahead and push the record button on the camera here, it disables the video output, and the onboard display doesn't show anything either. So you really don't have any idea as to what is being shot until you push the button again, which will then re-enable the HDMI output. So there are some limitations to how this works, but if you are looking to bring in footage clean from the camera, you can do it. It's just not ideal. So overall, my feelings are mixed on the Media Mod here. I think it certainly tries to do a lot of things in one package, but that may not be the best solution. I could live without the microphone. Again, I think the internal mic on the GoPro sounds better. I do like the 2 cold shoe mounts. That's useful for mounting lights and microphone receivers and stuff. On the back here with the ports, it's going to be a mixed bag. So if you are looking for HDMI out, you've got it, but it's only 1080p 60. I think a lot of people will find some utility from the pass-through USB port so that you can attach external power supplies and batteries to it without leaving your battery door hanging open. Of course, though, it's a lot of money to pay just to get a port extender. And then I really like the microphone input here because it works seamlessly with my Sennheiser microphone kit, and I suspect a lot of folks will get a lot of utility out of that 3.5mm port for external mics. So that, I think, is probably its strongest feature and the one that works the best, but you do lack a lot of granular audio controls on it. So not the best thing in the world, but this, for some people, is going to be your only choice to get this kind of functionality out of this camera. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Hot Sauce and Video Games, Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Tom Albrecht, Thomas Anfang, Jim Tanis, and Handheld Obsession. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.